Welcome back to the Act Natural podcast with John and Courtney. Today, we are going to dive into a couple of topics for you guys. One thing that we really want to touch base on are our yard signs in town and why we had to take those down and the process thereof. And what else are we going to be talking about?
We're talking about the cancellation of the Soybean Festival for 2020 and some possible solutions to gaining back some of the local commerce that the downtown's going to lose and the businesses that are going to miss out on that.
One of those options being something called a sidewalk
market. We're thinking that we can get a collection of businesses together to put out products on their sidewalk. Also getting other businesses that are not service product-based businesses to allow that space to be used by someone making snow cones or cotton candy. I don't know. I really feel like we can gather the downtown to make a strip all the way down Lindell just full of booths and businesses that can bring in some local commerce. People right now are really, seems like they're divided inside of two camps. They're like, I'm going to stay inside. I'm going to sanitize everything. I'm going to wear a mask in my car. I'm going to be super, really almost scared of touching anything or doing anything. And then you have the other people who are saying, we have to open up America, rip off your mask, all of that kind of language. So I'm in the middle of that. I'm not super conservative in the way of that we need to rule out all restrictions. I am more in the middle of we need to open up slowly, but we have to jumpstart the community. I do lean more towards the way of, this virus is not what we expected it to be. The numbers are much lower. I think that we can maintain safety for all people, but while growing commerce back, because we're so damaged right now, and a lot of people are not going to come back from this. So there's an importance in doing that. And I guess my main point in all of this is that we can all support one another while having different ideas. I can support other people's ideas while disagreeing with them. And I think being able to have a dialogue about these really hard things about what we think about opening America back up while being safe is something that people should be able to talk about, don't you?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So jumping into the last topic first of the sidewalk idea, I think this is a really great opportunity to kind of make up for the fact that our farmers market in Martin, Tennessee is closed right now. It's open in other areas. In Jackson, their West Tennessee farmers market's open, but in Martin, we still have that shut down. And so this would be an opportunity for businesses who want to, farmers who want to, obviously no one is required to, but it would just be another way to help bring commerce downtown. It'd be another way to help maybe bridge some of those sales that have been lost. And also for me, I know that I love to get as much produce as I can in an open air environment, which is why we've been hitting up our farmers market as much as we can. That way it saves me a trip to Kroger or Walmart and I don't have to be stuck in those walls. So this will be a really great opportunity for people to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if we can provide the opportunity from if the community itself can provide the opportunity for people to come out and shop, that would be an encouragement of that. And if you feel nervous about getting out and shopping, I respect that. That's totally fine. If you want to wear a mask, then let's do that. All of the staff at our shop wears masks right now behind the counter, and they're all washing their hands more frequently, and they're sanitizing between all customers, and we're taking extra precautions that are identified in the Tennessee Pledge. So we're taking this thing seriously, but beyond that, we're thinking more on what is the long-term damage of what this is going to be for our local community. What is that damage going to look like? And when you think about the damage of that, it materializes in the cancellation of the soybean. And soybean for me is much more than just a bunch of rides and events. It is, I think, the embodiment of what Martin is, with all of the different value points that it gives. It focuses on Magical Martin Day, which we talked on this podcast a long time ago with David Belote, an amazing person that is really the champion of the Soybean Festival. And we got into what is the DNA of that festival, and it really reflects what Martin is. And so to completely strip that out without any sort of adaptive plan into making it Maybe just a series of local concerts that the city doesn't have to pay for. Maybe a collection of businesses that offer discounts for a week with this sidewalk market. Maybe we can do gift basket raffles that promote local businesses. Why not adapt it?
Yeah, we could do something without it just being completely shut down because, I mean, what year is this going to be? 26, 27 of the Soybean Festival? I wish I had that in front of me. But the thing is that means it's gone on every single year consecutively. And for that to just
die,
go away, I mean,
what?
I don't really necessarily need to be someone who cares about, whenever you're on like a roll, what is that called when you got like a streak? I don't care if you break a streak, but I do care about the attitude of the community and how that's going to be. We're going to be missing something.
It's going to be a major morale hit. And
yeah.
Why are we not talking more about like being stuck inside, scared to go out, forced to wear masks, shamed if you don't, and then that pressure being put on businesses, like that affects people like greatly.
Yeah, and we need something to kind of break up all of that anxiousness and those feelings that we've had. We need something to kind of cut loose a little bit.
Here's the deal. Tough decisions have to be made.
Absolutely.
And they have been made. But why are we not throwing this out for the community to consider and decide? Why are we not giving, why are we not consulting with small businesses?
I just feel like we forget. We forget the role of government. And I mean, I'm not going to get into a right or left thing, but I believe that the government is there to serve the people. And I believe that our city officials are there to serve the people. Now, that means making some hard decisions. I understand that. But overall, the attitude should be an attitude of service, and the attitude should be one of helping in the greater good. Something I'm so sad about is that we're going to miss out on that season of local pride. So something that happens every September, and it's much like Christmas time. At Christmas time, people are more giving, people are more joyful, people are a little bit more merry and tolerant, if you will, and they go downtown and they celebrate more and they shop more locally at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Same things happens at Soybean. At Soybean, you are renewed with this feeling of pride for your town. You're proud that you guys have this. We're award winning, and people go downtown. There's a surge of Martin citizens, but then also people from surrounding towns and even states. They come to Martin at that time, and people invest in the commerce downtown. We get more sales. We have more hotel bookings. And our little economy has a mini boom.
What are we sending like as a message? What are we saying? That the coronavirus has hit. We've had major concerns. We're going to take, I guess the message is we're going to take an extreme stance. We're going to be scared, and we're just going to lock down and close down everything.
Now, here's the thing. I understand being cautious. I want us to be more cautious. I think it's our responsibility now that we understand this virus a little bit better.
Let me interrupt that real fast. Why is it either or? Why can we not be cautious?
And that's my point.
And that's really frustrating, isn't it? Because for me to say we should open back up means, you're automatically over in this camp. You're automatically don't care. Oh, by the way, people are dying from this. Do you not care about death?
We definitely understand that. And we definitely encourage people who are elderly to think twice before coming out. We have a curbside option, that sort of thing, just with our shop. There's a lot of shops that are doing that. But what we want is for everyone else in the community who is not perhaps immune deficient or elderly to have that option of coming out. If you want to do this and put yourself at a risk, I feel like we should at least be allowed to make that choice for ourselves instead of having a greater power say, you don't even get to have that decision
option.
Whenever we don't know what this virus is going to look like in September.
So
we don't know what it's going to look like. So why are we taking away this opportunity for economic boom, for small town pride, and to celebrate our community. Why are we taking that away?
And from the rules, Tennessee, our Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, love or hate, I mean, a lot of these smaller towns are following the executive orders that are coming out of that. In June, large gatherings are not prohibited. 50% capacity for restaurants has been lifted starting in June. We're talking about something that's happening in September. I'm not understanding the jump to that.
One thing that we can help understand the jump is that there are a lot of deposits that have to be made for different, what are they called? Whenever there's a show that happens.
Well, I don't get that logic. You understand that.
You have to book these things ahead of time, and so they don't want to lose on the money to book them, and they have to make that decision.
Them come. That they are not contingent upon the soybean.
And that's how I feel. I completely understand. We can have a festival that looks a different way. It's not going to top last year's. It's not going to top the year before, but we can still have a small way of celebrating, just like everyone else has had to have a small way of celebrating baby showers or birthday parties or graduations. We've all had to adapt in that. And yet we don't even get to adapt to this festival. It's just canceled.
My problem is, if you look at the response, it's not of someone who understands commerce, small town growth, and business. It is the response of someone who just says, cut everything.
I'm scared, just cut everything. We don't want the rest. We don't want to deal with it.
Look at the restrictions on restaurants. And you have to understand, for people that are outside of West Tennessee in our local area, we're coming at this from a perspective of we own 5 income-producing operating businesses. One of them is a coffee shop, a local coffee shop in a local downtown Martin, Tennessee. And the damage of what COVID-19 has had on our business that does not have a drive-through, that is a primary coffee and bakery where you come inside and enjoy that. So we're looking at that from that perspective, and then another perspective of we are in love with Martin, Tennessee, and the community that is there, not necessarily how it's being run, but the community itself is the best community in West Tennessee. I really believe that.
People are so supportive and people are so generous and so kind. We had handwritten letters come to us during COVID-19 of, I'm sorry you had to close. I'm sorry about your staff. I hate that this is happening, but know that we're here and we support you and we miss you. Like, we got several of those letters.
In online orders, we were not equipped for adapting that quickly, and we had to lay off our staff for them to be able to get unemployment because the hours were so low. I mean, it wasn't fair to them, so we had to do that. And we were not adapted online yet. And we had to do all of that awkward stuff in the middle of being just truly scared to death about what this is going to mean for our town and the safety of our town, but also the longevity of our town. I mean, one of our businesses downtown already closed. A.B. Cheatham's closed due to this coronavirus. Permanently. They permanently closed.
I hate that.
And that is happening.
They had really good burgers.
There's reports that, and I've heard them on other podcasts and I've been reading a lot. They say 40% of restaurants and bakeries and coffee shops, that service-based business, are not going to make it back.
Is that because of, even whenever they are being able to open back up, it's at a 50% capacity and they can't maintain that?
You cannot say to a restaurant and expect them to survive that you have to cut 50% occupancy. That call is made by someone who doesn't understand the very slim profit margins that restaurants are working in. And to double on that, so we finally got through to the SBA after a long process. I don't want to go through all of that. I made a whole big hour-long video on trying to get in touch with that. But while we were going through all of that, it was extremely infuriating seeing larger, like Ruth Chris getting $20 million and having that, and us struggling, and they got it immediately, super fast.
Right.
And we were over a month without any sort of help or funding through that. But then to be given that and say, this is all you're going to get. And by the way, right now it's only curbside, and it's going to be 50%. You cannot operate. And so it's absolutely crushing restaurants beyond what they can survive. And so now it's a survival game. You have to make the most that you can and wait out till restrictions can be lifted. And I'm so fed up with it. I'm saying, give people the choice. Mm-hmm. We live in a capitalist society with freedom. Mm-hmm. You cannot force people. And by the way, you also can't shame people.
That's right.
Oh, you're not wearing a mask. I guess you don't care about people dying. Yes, I do care about that. Mm-hmm. Why are we separating? You're saying either you're here or you're here, where you can be in the middle.
And just to be the other side of this, like we were at the farmer's market in Jackson the other day, and there was a vendor there, and she was not wearing a mask, and we were like, we had our mask and then we took it off for a picture for a second, and we walk up and she's like, "Yay, way to go, no masks." And it was
That's weird.
Like,
yeah.
Why are you trying to encourage people not to wear them? Why don't we just let everyone make their decisions? If you want to wear a mask, that is for your own personal decision.
Tell me, who's creating that divide? Who's creating that? Who's behind that? Why is there this energy pushing people to make hard, fast decisions like that? Why is there circulating an image that says, my body, my choice, with a freaking picture of a mask on it? What's up with that? Like,
I don't understand why everything has to be so divisive. Like, why can't we all just understand each other? Understand that this is hard for everyone. And I try not to be too much of an idealist, because that just leads to disappointment. But, why are we getting on to each other? If you want to wear a mask, you've got your reasons for that.
People. There's a hotline in California for people to report businesses where they get fines. I just had a conversation with one of our vendors, a software provider that we use in Boston, where they're threatening to fine people $300 without having a mask on. I had talked to another friend in California where they are absolutely in crazy lockdown mode, and they're shaming businesses for trying to operate. People are not thinking beyond. You have to think about the big picture here. Think about the long-term effect of people that live in complete fear, that have no way of making money at all, and have no way of hope. What do you think about the damage and the mental health of that? Where is that result? Where is that? Why is that not talked about? You want to talk about suicide rates going way up? Talk about people in unemployment and alcoholism and people just drinking enormous amounts.
Domestic abuse.
What about domestic abuse going through the roof?
Just bullying, just like, and I don't overuse that word. I promise I don't. But, people coming together, like if they're stuck in quarantine together and just knocking heads like day after day after day after day after day, and that wears your spirit down. So
the reason why, all of this is relevant to the cancellation of soybean, because it is decisions that are being based upon, I don't even know what the motive is here. Like, I don't think it's people based. We have to adapt to this new normal. We have to accept a few things. Number one, the world is never the same. Commerce is never the same. These small towns will never be the same. So there's a new normal that must be defined. When we're defining that, it must be out of respect for all people, okay? Not dividing people into camps. I respect someone's choice to stay at home, order Amazon, and wear a mask when they go out. You know what? That makes them no less or greater of a person than anyone else. I respect that choice. I also respect a small local business opening up and making the best of that situation. I respect that. I respect the fear of not wanting to have a large gathering of people. I respect that. But if people in leadership, if they're going to define what the new normal is, it cannot be this cut and dry. It cannot be that.
I agree.
We have to adapt in that way. And that's my frustration. And I don't like being boxed in and not being able to talk about something.
Yeah, we should be able to talk about it. Even if our listeners or other people feel differently, that's okay.
I respect that.
I just can't keep feeling this way and then feeling like people are going to judge me or think less of me if I share about it.
I'm done. I'm very clearly going to state what I think and what I believe. I'm going to run my business the way I believe it needs to be run, in respect to like serving my community and my customers. And if that gets in the way of leadership, if it gets in the way of the elected officials or anything like that, okay, I'm done with it. I'm done bowing, because in this time of a new normal, we must stand up for what we believe and respect each other and not try to bulldoze everything.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me into this. Like, we got some signs printed at Pip Printing. They got them done just in time. They have our logo on them and our phone number. We had been closed for over a month, and we were very excited to open back up. Not an easy thing to reopen a business after being closed. We had to hire like five new
people,
staff members. We had a good week of training, very expensive training. We put the yard signs up, as it is very common to do.
Yeah, we went around on Wednesday because we opened on Thursday the 14th. So we went around on Wednesday the 13th, and we just put them in high traffic areas where we think that people would see them. And I know that we have a big following on social media, but I know that not all of our customers are on social media, and we have to find a way to let them know that we're open.
Yeah.
And so we did what a lot of businesses do, what a lot of people do, and we made these signs. And I mean, we spent some money on them. That's not really relevant, but we put them out.
We had 10 signs. So I'll keep in consideration that we had 10 signs.
10 signs.
We didn't like bombard all of our little local town with hundreds of signs.
It wasn't like the Jesus movement back in
all the
like
green
2013
signs.
or whenever it
Those
was.
were everywhere.
Jesus.
I don't know if they got permits for those, but I guess you wouldn't want to go against that.
I don't know. The thing is,
Anyway,
we were asked immediately the next day. I'm there like running things on opening day. John's upstairs working on like
I don't know,
office
something.
stuff or administrative stuff. I don't know what he's doing upstairs. He's doing something, and I think he also had Henry or whatever. And I'm downstairs and I'm working on just staff stuff, trying to get things figured out for our first day. And we have customers in there, and it's trickling in, and it's nice. Okay, so I'm there and I'm downstairs at the community table and I'm working on stuff for the staff. And then there's like code enforcement officer comes up, and I was like, hey, nice mask. Cause he had like a floral mask, and he's kind of like he just seems like a really like strong man, and he's wearing a floral mask. So I thought it was kind of cute. And I was like, hey, I really like your mask. And he was like, oh, thank you. I'm looking for the owner. And I was like, well, I'm one of them. And he's like, hey, we got to talk about those signs. And I was like, okay, what's the problem? And he basically let me know that it's illegal to have them out and that I needed to get a permit. And I was like, I'm very sorry, I didn't know about the permit. Is there any way that I can go through that process? And I tend to be a rule follower. So I am very like, I don't want to upset anyone, And I'm like, what can I do to get permission to get this to happen? And he goes, oh, well, it's too late. It's a distraction for drivers. And I was like, okay, so what do I need to do to have the signs out? And he's like, we're just not allowed to have them. And I was like, okay, if I go to businesses where that's their yard and I get permission from them, then can I have the signs out? And he's like, no, because it's like a traffic hazard and it's dangerous. And I was like, okay, well, what can we do to keep the signs up? And he's like, you just can't have them up. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I need you to take them down. And I was like, well, okay. And so then I went upstairs and I told John about it, and he's like, did you ask him why? Did you ask him? And he's like asking all stuff. And I was like, I didn't think about it because I didn't want to upset anyone. And at first I was just kind of confused. But then whenever I had to actually go out and like recover signs, one of them was bent, by the way, and then it mysteriously disappeared when I tried to recover it over there by E.W. James and Sons. I just got kind of angry because I was thinking, there's a lot of other signs that are out, and I'm totally willing to go through whatever process I need to go through, but there didn't seem to be a process whenever I was inquiring. And then I'm like, maybe I shouldn't just be so compliant. Maybe I shouldn't just be so embarrassed by myself. Like, maybe I should ask questions about why, because there are a lot of customers out there who come to us and have been coming to us since we opened, but maybe they don't do social, or maybe they don't follow it all the time. And they need to know, like, we're back open.
Back open from the freaking pandemic that closed us down.
And I just started getting upset. I just started getting really angry. John's watching Henry at the shop, and I'm driving around and I'm picking up signs, and I'm just getting more and more upset. I'm like, I can't believe I have to do this right now. I can't believe I have to pick these up. And maybe that was me being too angry, but I just kind of thought, it's just so interesting that someone makes a complaint, and the city immediately takes action. They call us up, they come bring someone.
Well, they're against us.
Well,
They're
I'm not going to go
us.
there. I'm just, it's inspiring to me that the city advocated. They advocated so much for that person or those people's complaints.
Business.
And they made sure that they were like, we're going to be there for you guys. And I was like, I've had some issues, and I've had some personal complaints, and I have some things that I'd like to see done in the city. So I'm encouraged that maybe I can approach the city and get those same kind of results, but I have a feeling that it wouldn't be quite as snappy.
It's completely selective. We're completely
it's just
singled
interesting
out.
to me. And at first I was like, it's funny. I don't want to get anyone upset. And I got embarrassed because I was like, oh no, I broke a rule. So I get like immediately embarrassed because I was always that way, heavy conscience kind of thing. And then I started thinking, maybe that's just me like putting myself down. Maybe I should ask more questions.
Always
and maybe
ask
I
questions.
should kind of demand some answers that make a little bit more sense than you're just not allowed to have them.
Yeah. I mean, let's go number one. Why are there 10 other types of signs around Walmart in that intersection? Number two, who complained exactly? Why did they complain?
And I only put signs where I've seen signs before. Everywhere that we put signs was like, yeah, I've seen signs there. Or like, that's a high traffic area of what people are going to see.
I
just don't get it. And I'm sorry to keep ragging on him. I don't mean to just sound like a broken record on it, but the fact is we have made a lot of adjustments. We have done a lot to try to do what we need to do that's in line with the city. And we're still trying to serve our community. That's number one for us.
Yeah.
Like, to be completely frank, with this business, it pays for itself and it pays our employees. And it pays for, projects in Nepal. And if there's something afterwards, then we reinvest that. Like sometimes we can take some money home, but honestly, that's what our other businesses are for.
No, it's not often. It's a service.
It's this whole thing is like, it consumes the most of our time, but it's for everyone. And yeah we enjoy having it.
Absolutely.
But whenever you look at the money factor that it's bringing in, it's covering itself. So yeah, it's covering the mortgage that we have on the building, because if we weren't making those sales, that mortgage would fall on us personally,
right,
and it would take away the money that we're getting from our other businesses. And then we're in a place where we can't get groceries.
Sure. Absolutely. And that's a great point.
And we can't get our bills. But it's just, I'm making that point in that I know that community members appreciate that and they support us, but I don't think that people get it. I don't know that all of the city members who are having an issue, or whoever it is that's calling up saying, I don't like that
They've
sign.
never had a business.
I just don't know that they get what I'm trying to do. I don't understand that they get, I pay for this to be made, and I'm taking time out of my day when I could be working on scheduling, or I could be working on other forms that we need to get done, or I could be prepping for the next wedding. And I'm taking away that time to do this so that I can get more sales, or so that I can let community members know who don't follow us on social. And I'm being antagonized for that immediately.
Yeah.
And it is so frustrating because I feel personally like I'm a nice person. Okay. I don't feel like, I understand some people, John's intense. Okay. You can have a biff with John because he's intense, but like, this is my business too.
Yeah.
What's your deal? Like,
what's
your deal?
I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of being singled out. I'm tired of people not knowing what's really going on. I'm tired of being said, oh, you're not being a community supporter because you're not taking our bull crap anymore.
We're like
we're not
the biggest community supporters.
We have two buildings downtown. We've dedicated our whole lives to building this and to doing it right, to giving it a high standard.
I went to school here and
yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I feel like that has
deal.
merit with people. Did you go to school here? I did, by the way. I did.
So just to recap it all, we live for the community, we serve for the community, and we do that. And sometimes
it hurts my feelings. Sorry.
Sometimes it's difficult to recognize how large of a supporter base that we have when we face opposition from the few that run it.
Yes, that's important to say. It's just a couple of people.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you this. I do not support the leadership that they are enacting. I do support the structure of leadership. I support the procedures. I support the committees. I support that those positions are 100% useful and needful. But when you have people who use their political power to overstep and try to stifle the growth of a local business that gives back in a way that is much more beneficial to the community than to them themselves, I think we got a big problem. And I'm just done. I'm done not talking about it.
I just think people are really proud of themselves for having a job or having a whatever it is. And
I don't know. I think they're dissatisfied with that. I don't want to get into all the
I don't
meaning
know.
and
I'm not going to get into
behind it.
psychology. It's whatever. I just think,
is.
hey, maybe you can come talk to me because I feel like I'm very reasonable and no one has addressed me
You
about
cannot
this.
reason with unreasonable people.
It's
It's done.
I want to be positive. I'm a positive person. I'm positive, encouraging K-Love. Okay, I'm very positive. But at this point, my feelings are hurt. At this point, you are encroaching upon my business, and I have done nothing different than what everyone else has done. Okay?
Well, we're going to turn it positive now. We're going to talk about this sidewalk market a little bit more.
I think this is going to be a really good
then
idea.
We're going to use all that energy and we're going to come up with something good about it. And then we're going to tune into the next episode later on.
Yeah.
So,
because I have a shoot in Chattanooga.
Yeah, you got to go to Chattanooga. You got a jet to Chattanooga.
Got a jet.
Our idea, which is not fully formed yet, but we're going to run. We have a publication page and a T-shirt company that has a bunch of different products called Good Morning Martin. We started that over 3 years ago before the coffee house.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay.
It's sprinkled in like different levels of involvement, but we've had like different articles written about the library and soybean and different things like that, different deals that people have downtown, and then created some shirts a while back with some line drawings that we sold in our shop. And now I think it's like 2 years later, we finally have more designs.
We had this idea forever ago, but now it's finally materializing.
Yeah.
But we're running a campaign through Good Morning Martin to bring the community together to boost local commerce by having a sidewalk sale. I think it's going to be called like Martin's Sidewalk Market.
That's cute.
I like it to be on Saturdays. The farmers market's not open right now. This would give a gap, right, to bridge the gap between the farmers market. And when the farmers market does open back up, I think around June 6th, unless it gets pushed back again, because why would we open up a farmers market if soybeans canceled? So I don't know what's going to happen next, but I do know that even when it does open up, this can be this almost like pulling the whole like downtown area in together and getting people to shop.
Like Shoe Shack for a while. On Saturdays, they always had their...
Five Seasons does the same thing. 5 Seasons
does it too. They always had their like racks outside on Saturdays. And it was just another thing. It's just eye-catching when you're driving by. And I think if more people were encouraged to do that, and I think we're going to find a creative way that we could put some product on the sidewalk
like
or
a
something.
lemonade stand or something.
I think that it would make it more fun. People want to be outside. The weather is amazing. And I think that walking around culture can really result in some sales for some businesses.
I really do. And you have some really great businesses downtown, like Buff City Soap, which just does an amazing job, like really putting out a lot of products. St. Charles is going to be doing a sidewalk sale. They're going to be pulling out their product. And here's the goal, right? The goal is that there has to be some imagery, some energy to putting forth some sort of principles on what this new normal is going to be like. Perhaps we social distance more. Perhaps everyone's wearing masks and there's sanitized stations everywhere.
Yeah.
But we got to get a game plan. And so this is our first attempt on figuring like what this new normal is going to be. I wish that there was more of a centered our downtown is just kind of like a straight shot. So we have like one street that we could do this on.
It's very walkable though.
It is very walkable.
And the other, it's one-fold, but it's actually twofold. Because yes, it could promote local commerce, but I know I'm not the only one that cares about having that warm, fuzzy feeling that you get whenever you're in a downtown. You know, that Stars Hollow vibe, that like, oh my God, this town is so cute and I just love walking around, and I'm going to buy a little candle, then I'm going to go get a lemonade, you know, or something from Skyhawk Nutrition, you know, something that just makes people happy to be outside. You know, I think that this could be a really fun summer project.
That's the imagery of what we need.
Yeah.
We need that we need this step forward.
And do it however you want to do it.
Yeah. Let's operate not out of fear, okay, but trusting people, trusting populations, trusting what America is built upon, which is small businesses. We are the backbone. Let's trust the ingenuity that they will have to adapt to this plan, but let's definitely not stack the deck against it from a city perspective, right? Let's not use all the resources that we have to stack it in a negative way. Let's just say, hey, here's some ideas. Small businesses, take it.
Like I would love, like we were talking about with soybean, if we could get a mini version of Touch a Truck or something to happen in the library parking lot, the old library parking lot.
There could be a fireman that stands there. Every time a child touches it, Wipe it clean.
Yeah, whatever. Well, okay, that's extreme, but something where we still have some of those great events that we got for soybean, but now we're just kind of mixing it. It just looks like it's a different kind of festival.
And it can be different.
But it's still a way of making memories for these kids. Like it makes me a little bit sad because I was so jazzed about Henry's first soybean. I mean, he was at soybean last year, but he was ittle bittle, and now he can walk, and I was really looking forward to it. And I know I'm not the only one.
And I'm not giving up on it. I do think that we're going to take this first step, and then I don't know where it leads, but it's very possible if the community support is there and if we can gather some momentum that we can roll this into some other events that have respect to people who will social distance. And growing this, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in that park when it opens up. There's a lot of opportunity at the ballpark.
Yeah, Virginia Walden Park.
And let me tell you,
we could do something there.
Soybean was started by a man who had an idea, and then it rolled and rolled and rolled, and it became something amazing. Formed a committee and did some amazing, great things. I think that this is an opportunity for a good idea to start with Good Morning Martin and a community to be formed, and it can grow into something more.
Yeah, and I know that soybeans canceled this year, but the way that we knew it to be is canceled this year. But yes. I really want to, I don't know. I don't want to seem like we can change the world, but I don't think it's too late to have one of our local kind of things. We don't need to get all of the out-of-state vendors and out-of-town vendors. But what about like how we did music in the park or how we'll do like the family fun days or like,
you know what?
That kind of thing.
This is good. Let's take down the walls. Let's have free concerts. Let's assimilate. Let's take it all the way back, reimagine it with the new normal.
Something smaller, and that's okay.
Yes.
I think people would volunteer time, or we don't have to.
We don't have to cost the city anything.
Do something like donation wise, because I know that we say it doesn't have to cost the city, but then there's going to be city people who have to, put up cones and trash care. There's all of those jobs that are always going on, and I understand accounting for that and stuff. It's just, I think that we could do something here.
Yeah.
And I want to know if other people feel the same way.
Yeah, and just let us know if you see this on Facebook, comment, or YouTube, or all the places it's at. Like, let us know what ideas that you might have, and also let us know if your town is how it's adapting and how it's struggling, or maybe even thriving throughout all of this. If you have any ideas for businesses, we just want to adapt. We're looking for more inspiration and ideas.
Actually, shout out to Crossville, Tennessee, which is where I lived before I moved to Jackson, which was before I moved to Martin. But Crossville, Tennessee has this it's kind of like a Grubhub thing. And there is people who have come together, and they're just delivering like food from local restaurants. Cause
that's awesome.
Crossville has like 1 million local mom pa restaurants. And, then it's just helping keep those businesses going instead of going to all the chains. Anyway, this is a small shout out to them.
I like it. Give us your ideas. We're pushing through this. I appreciate you guys listening to this podcast. I feel really good.
It means a lot. And really I know people have been wanting to hear some of these updates and want to know our take on it and kind of want to know the full story about the whole yard sign thing. But we really do appreciate you guys caring. And we've gotten some really, really heartwarming messages that just, that you see our side and that you understand, because it may not be a black and white issue. There might be, it's kind of a gray issue in some areas, but just knowing that you can hear us out on stuff and we can hear you out is really
and we know
encouraging.
That if you don't agree with us, that you're not saying that you don't support us.
Yeah.
And please have some understanding on the other side of that. That we can disagree but still be supportive of our community. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you guys. It's been amazing. Bye.
Thanks.